Sheriff's Department. Open the door now.
Do you have a warrant? I'm an attorney. I know my rights.
We have authority under an active investigation.
Open this door or we're coming in.
I'm a United States citizen. Show me a warrant or leave my property.
What should have been a quiet Saturday morning in suburban Atlanta turned into a constitutional nightmare. Dr. Monica Chambers never imagined she would become the victim. She was 42, a constitutional law attorney who had spent 16 years defending others against exactly this kind of government overreach. That morning, she was preparing a Fourth Amendment case for Monday's hearing, defending a client against a legal search. By 10:30 a.m., 4 officers would force their way into her home without a warrant based on nothing more than an anonymous tip. The violation would cost the county over $10.5 million. Before we continue, where are you watching from? If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. Stories like these need to be shared. Monica Chambers had built her career on principles most attorneys only talked about. Yale Law School class of 2008, federal clerkship under Judge Patricia Millett, 16 years defending constitutional rights. Her record spoke louder than any credential, 23 victories in 25 Fourth Amendment cases. She had published 47 articles on illegal search and seizure. Law schools across the country used her work as teaching material. When police departments violated the Fourth Amendment, attorneys called Monica. When federal agents overstepped their authority, Monica was the one who made them pay. She knew the law backward and forward. Terry versus Ohio, Peyton versus New York. Every case that mattered. That Saturday morning started like any other weekend. She woke at 8:30, made coffee in her kitchen, settled onto the couch in sweatpants and a Yale Law t-shirt. Case files covered her dining room table. Monday's hearing defending a black man whose car had been searched without probable cause. She was reviewing the closing argument, building the case that would protect her client's Fourth Amendment rights, the same rights that would be violated in her own home 2 hours later. 8 months earlier, she had installed a Ring doorbell, mostly for package deliveries. She never imagined it would become the most important piece of evidence in a federal lawsuit. The camera was recording everything. It always was. At 10:15 a.m., 4 figures in tactical vests approached her front door. County Sheriff patches visible in the morning light. Lead Officer Sergeant Nathan Pierce, 39 years old, 14 years with the department. Pierce had a history. 11 formal complaints filed against him over 6 years. 11. 8 involved black residents. 7 alleged entry without proper authority. Not one resulted in discipline. Not one. The department had reviewed every complaint and cleared him every time. Pierce believed his badge gave him authority. The Constitution didn't. He was about to learn otherwise. Monica's neighbor Eleanor Washington was in her front yard watering roses. She had lived next door for 12 years, a retired elementary school teacher who knew everyone on the block. Across the street, Carlos Mendez was outside with his 6-year-old son tossing a football. He was a civil engineer, a man who believed in rules and procedures. Both would become witnesses. Both would testify to what they saw. The suburban morning was peaceful, kids playing, neighbors gardening, the kind of Saturday where nothing should go wrong. Should officers be allowed to enter private homes without warrants, even during investigations? Pierce was about to make a decision that would answer that question in the most expensive way possible. He stepped onto Monica's porch. The doorbell camera captured his face. Every word, every action, everything that came next. Pierce rang the doorbell. Then he started pounding. Bang, bang, bang. Monica jumped up from the couch, case files scattering. Her legal instincts kicked in immediately. Something was wrong. This wasn't a friendly visit. She walked to the door but didn't open it. Who is it? Sheriff's Department. Open the door now. Pierce's voice carried authority and impatience. Monica's mind raced through every Fourth Amendment case she'd ever argued. Do you have a warrant? We don't need a warrant. We have authority under active investigation. That's not how this works, Monica said, her voice firm. You need a warrant to enter a private residence. Terry versus Ohio established reasonable suspicion for stops, not home entry. Payton versus New York requires a warrant for residential arrest absent exigent circumstances. The doorbell camera captured every word. Pierce's face shifted from authoritative to annoyed. Ma'am, we received information that you're involved in illegal activity. Open this door. Monica felt anger surge through her. Illegal activity. She lived alone. She had no roommates, no family staying with her. This was clearly a mistake, or worse, targeted harassment. I'm a United States citizen and a licensed attorney, she said loudly. I live alone. There is no illegal activity here. You have no authority to enter without a warrant. Show me a warrant or leave my property. The three other officers exchanged glances. Deputy Thomas Martinez checked his phone, presumably looking at whatever information brought them here. Deputy Sarah Lee shifted uncomfortably. Pierce stepped closer to the door. Ma'am, we have credible information about illegal activity at this address. We're entering based on reasonable suspicion. Credible information isn't a warrant, Monica shot back. The Fourth Amendment is clear. The right of the people to be secure in their persons' houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. You have no warrant. You have no probable cause. You have no consent. What you're about to do is illegal. Pierce pulled out his radio. Dispatch requesting backup at 2847 Oakmont Drive. Two more patrol cars were rolling. Martinez leaned toward Pierce. Sarge, she's citing case law. Maybe we should... I know what I'm doing, Pierce cut him off. Monica heard the exchange through the door. The doorbell camera's microphone picked up everything. Across the street, Eleanor Washington put down her watering can. She pulled out her phone and dialed 911. Yes, I need to report something. There are officers at my neighbor's house, and something doesn't seem right. She's telling them they need a warrant, and they're not listening. Carlos Mendez told his son to go inside. Then he pulled out his iPhone and started recording. 3 cameras, 3 angles, everything being captured. Monica's doorbell camera from the front. Eleanor calling 911, her phone capturing audio. Carlos filming from across the street. Pierce didn't know he was standing in the middle of a documented constitutional violation. Ma'am, I'm giving you one last chance, Pierce said. Open this door voluntarily or we're coming in. This is illegal entry, Monica said, her attorney voice coming out in full force. I'm recording everything. You're violating the Fourth Amendment. The Supreme Court has been clear that law enforcement does not have authority to enter a private residence without a warrant or exigent circumstances. You have neither. We have exigent circumstances. What exigent circumstances, Monica demanded? Define them. Someone in immediate danger, evidence being destroyed, a fleeing felon, which one applies here? Pierce had no answer, because there was no answer. He had an anonymous tip and his own assumption of authority. That was all. Martinez tried again. Sarge, maybe we should call supervisor. I am the supervisor, Pierce said. Lee looked at the doorbell camera. She saw the lens. She knew they were being recorded. Sergeant Pierce, she's right about the warrant. I'm not asking for legal advice, Deputy. Monica heard the frustration in his voice. Good, let him be frustrated. She had the law on her side. Officer, I want to be very clear, Monica said. If you force entry into my home without a warrant, without exigent circumstances, and without my consent, you are violating my constitutional rights. This will cost you your career. I'm giving you the chance to walk away right now. The doorbell camera captured Pierce's jaw tightening. He turned to Martinez. Get the ram. Monica's heart dropped. They were actually going to do it. They were going to break into her home. You're making a mistake, she said, her voice shaking now with rage more than fear. Step back from the door, ma'am. Martinez returned with a breaching ram, a heavy metal tool designed to force entry. Eleanor was still on the phone with 911. They have some kind of battering ram. They're about to break her door down. She keeps telling them it's illegal. Carlos moved closer, his iPhone zoomed in. The backup units arrived. 4 officers became 6. 6 officers standing on a suburban lawn on a Saturday morning preparing to ram through the door of a constitutional law attorney who was explaining exactly why they couldn't. Pierce looked at Monica's door. He looked at his officers. He had a choice. He could walk away. He could call a supervisor. He could get a warrant. He chose none of those options. Breach it. Martinez positioned the ram. The doorbell camera captured everything. The angle, the preparation, the moment before impact. Monica backed into her living room, her phone held up, still recording. This is illegal entry. I do not consent. You have no warrant. I'm recording everything. He had a choice. Would you have stopped? The ram swung back. The ram swung forward. Crack. The doorframe splintered. Wood exploded inward. Monica screamed. 4 officers poured through the broken doorway, tactical vests, hands on weapons. Get back, get back. Monica had backed into her living room, both hands raised, her phone held up, still recording. This is illegal entry. I did not consent. You have no warrant. I'm an attorney. I know my rights. Hands where we can see them, Martinez commanded. My hands are up. I'm not resisting. But you need to know you're violating the 4th Amendment right now. Pierce moved through her home like he owned it. Lee headed toward the back. Martinez checked the kitchen. The 4th officer, Deputy James Crawford, stayed with Monica in the living room. Her phone was still recording. The doorbell camera timestamp showed 10:18 a.m. 3 minutes from first knock to forced entry. 3 minutes to destroy a career. Lee entered Monica's bedroom. A neatly made bed, nightstand with a lamp and a biography of Thurgood Marshall. Closet with professional clothes and nothing suspicious. She moved to the bathroom. Toiletries lined up on the counter. Towels hung on the rack. One person's bathroom. One person's home. Martinez searched the kitchen. Breakfast dishes in the sink. Coffee maker still warm. Utility bills on the counter, all in Monica Chambers' name. No evidence of anyone else living there. No undocumented immigrants. No illegal activity. Just a woman's private home being violated. Pierce was in Monica's home office. Law books lined the shelves floor to ceiling. Constitutional Law, 4th edition. Federal Criminal Procedure. Cases and materials on criminal law. Her Yale law degree hung on the wall. Bar admission certificate from the state of Georgia. Pierce pulled out Monica's driver's license from her wallet on the desk. Monica Chambers, 2847 Oakmont Drive. Born Houston, Texas. He checked her state bar card. Active attorney admitted 2008. He found her passport in the desk drawer. United States of America. Everything was legitimate. Everything was legal. Everything proved she was exactly who she said she was. Martinez called over the radio, his voice quiet. House is clear. No additional occupants. Repeat, no one else here. Then quieter, Sarge. She's an attorney. Licensed. Pierce's jaw tightened. Lee emerged from the back of the house. Nothing, Sergeant. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, no evidence of other residents. She walked past the dining room table and stopped. Papers were spread across the surface. Legal documents, case files, a yellow highlighter lying on top of a brief. She leaned closer and read the header. Morrison versus County Sheriff's Department. Motion to suppress evidence based on 4th Amendment violation. Below that, another document. Illegal residential entry without warrant, case law analysis. Her eyes went wide. Sergeant Pierce, Lee said slowly, you need to see this. Pierce walked over. He looked down at Monica's dining room table at the work she'd been doing that Saturday morning. She hadn't been harboring anyone. She'd been defending someone else against exactly what Pierce had just done to her. The irony was so perfect, it was almost painful. A constitutional law attorney specializing in illegal search cases working on a 4th Amendment violation case at the exact moment officers violated her Fourth Amendment rights. Monica saw Pierce's face change. She saw the realization dawn. "That's my client's case," she said, her voice cold. "I was preparing Monday's hearing, a case about officers who entered a home without proper authority, just like you did." "Congratulations, Sergeant. You just gave me first-hand experience." Outside, the crowd had grown. Eleanor was still on the phone with 911. Carlos was still recording. Two more neighbors had come out, a couple from 3 houses down, a teenager on a bicycle who'd stopped to watch. 6 people total, kids peeking from behind parents. A suburban Saturday morning spectacle. Federal officers breaking into a respected attorney's home. Everyone watching, everyone recording. Everyone would remember. Pierce looked at Martinez. Martinez looked at the floor. Lee stared at the doorbell camera, its red recording light still blinking. Crawford shifted uncomfortably in the living room. 4 officers who had just made the worst mistake of their careers. Monica's phone was still recording. The timestamp showed 10:23 a.m. 5 minutes inside. 5 minutes of documented constitutional violation. 5 minutes that would cost the county $10.5 million. Pierce pulled out his radio. "All units were code 4. Prepare to clear the scene." Monica lowered her phone but didn't stop recording. "You're leaving. That's your plan. Break my door, search my home illegally, find nothing because there was nothing to find, and just leave." Pierce turned to face her. For the first time, she saw something in his eyes that hadn't been there before. Doubt, maybe fear. "Ma'am, you'll be receiving documentation about this incident." "I'll be receiving a lot more than documentation," Monica said. "I'll be filing a federal lawsuit against you, against this department, against everyone who authorized this violation of my rights. You just learned a very expensive lesson about the Fourth Amendment." The officers filed toward the broken door. The doorbell camera captured their exit. Every face, every badge number, everything. The officers drove away in their patrol cars. Monica stood in her doorway, surveying the damage. Broken door frame, splintered wood on her floor. Her home violated, but her resolve hardening. She went inside and immediately backed up all recordings to cloud storage. Doorbell footage uploaded, phone video uploaded, everything secure where it couldn't be deleted or seized. Then she started making calls. First call, Marcus Reynolds, federal civil rights attorney, 20 years experience, her mentor from law school. "Marcus, I need you to represent me. Sheriff's deputies just broke into my home without a warrant." Monica slowed down. "I'm not slowing down. They forced entry. I told them it was illegal. I have it all on video, doorbell camera, my phone neighbor recordings. Fourth Amendment violation, illegal search, false detention. I want to file within the week." Marcus was silent for 3 seconds. "Send me everything. I'll clear my schedule." Second call, media. She contacted the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, gave them the basics. By 6 p.m., local news stations were running the story. Sheriff's deputies force entry into civil rights attorney's home without warrant. Constitutional lawyer says Fourth Amendment was violated in her own living room. By 9 p.m., the doorbell footage was online. Third call, her mother in Houston. "Baby, are you okay?" Monica broke down crying for the first time. Not from fear, from rage and exhaustion and the violation of having strangers tear through her private space. Her mother listened, then her voice turned steel. "You sue them. You sue them for every penny. Your daddy would be so proud of you standing up like that." Monica's father had been a police officer who'd been fired for refusing to falsify a report. She was continuing his fight. Within 24 hours, the video had 2 million views. Within 48 hours, 7 million. By the end of the week, 15 million people had watched sheriff's deputies break into a black attorney's home while she cited the Fourth Amendment. The sheriff's department went into crisis mode. Monday morning, Pierce was called into his supervisor's office. The body cam footage was reviewed. frame by frame, every illegal decision documented. By Monday afternoon, Pierce was suspended pending internal investigation. The anonymous tip was traced. A phone call to the non-emergency line 3:47 p.m. Friday. Male voice wouldn't give a name. Claimed suspicious activity at 2847 Oakmont Drive. No specifics, no description of suspects, no corroboration, just a vague tip that Pierce had used to justify breaking down a door. Worse, the tip had mentioned 2847 Oakmont Court, not Drive. Wrong address. Pierce hadn't even verified the location correctly. Tuesday morning, Marcus filed a 58-page federal complaint. Monica Chambers versus County Sheriff's Department, Sergeant Nathan Pierce, Deputy Thomas Martinez, Deputy Sarah Lee, Deputy James Crawford. Violations of the Fourth Amendment. Illegal search and seizure, false detention, trespass, intentional infliction of emotional distress, deprivation of rights under color of law. The evidence was devastating. Doorbell cameras showing Monica clearly stating she was a citizen, clearly refusing consent, clearly explaining Fourth Amendment requirements, showing officers forcing entry anyway. Body cameras showing the search finding nothing. Showing Pierce verifying her citizenship and bar license, showing the realization they'd made a catastrophic error. Wednesday, the county's attorney called Marcus. Settlement offer $50,000. Marcus read the offer to Monica over the phone. She laughed, actually laughed. They broke into a civil rights attorney's home without a warrant on camera while she cited constitutional law, and they think $50,000 makes this go away. That's what I told them, Marcus said. Counteroffer, see you in court. The county attorney tried again. $75,000. Monica's answer was the same. I don't want their settlement. I want a jury verdict. I want the public record. I want every officer in this state to know what happens when you violate someone's Fourth Amendment rights. The case was going to trial, and Monica was going to make sure everyone remembered it. The county's Internal Affairs Division began reviewing Sergeant Nathan Pierce's record. What they found was a pattern. 11 formal complaints filed against Pierce over 6 years. 11. 8 involved black residents. 7 alleged entry without proper warrant or authority. 3 included allegations of excessive force. Not 1 resulted in discipline. Not 1 suspension. Not 1 written reprimand. Every complaint had been reviewed and cleared. The county had looked at Pierce's conduct 11 times and decided it was acceptable. That decision was about to cost them everything. Marcus Reynolds, Monica's attorney, filed a 58-page federal complaint. Fourth Amendment violation. Illegal search and seizure. False detention. Trespass. Deprivation of rights under color of law. The evidence was overwhelming from day one. The county's lawyers knew it. They offered $50,000 to settle. Marcus laughed when he read the offer. They broke into a constitutional law attorney's home without a warrant on camera while she cited the Fourth Amendment, and they think $50,000 makes this go away. Monica didn't even respond to the offer. She wanted her day in court. Discovery took 11 months. 11 months of depositions, document requests, expert consultations. The doorbell footage became the centerpiece of the case. Crystal clear video showing Pierce pounding on the door. Crystal clear audio of Monica explaining why they couldn't enter. Crystal clear documentation of Pierce ordering the breach anyway. Eleanor Washington gave a deposition. I called 911 immediately, she testified. I've lived next to Monica for 12 years. I knew something was wrong. Officers don't break down doors of innocent people on Saturday mornings. Carlos Mendez provided his iPhone footage. I recorded everything from the moment they arrived, he said. My son was with me. I wanted him to see that you can stand up when something's wrong. I wanted evidence if they tried to lie about what happened. Marcus retained 3 constitutional law experts. Professor Jonathan Hayes from Emory Law School, reviewed every frame of the footage. This is a textbook Fourth Amendment violation, he wrote in his expert report. Anonymous tip without corroboration does not establish probable cause. Residential entry requires a warrant absent true exigent circumstances. Sergeant Pierce had neither. He knew or should have known his entry was unconstitutional. Professor Hayes would be devastating on the stand. The county knew it. Pierce's deposition was a disaster. What was the credible information you received? An anonymous call. Did you verify the information before forcing entry? We believed it was credible. Based on what? Pierce had no answer. Did you attempt to obtain a warrant? We didn't have time. How long were you at Dr. Chambers' door before breaching? 3 minutes. 3 minutes, and you couldn't call a judge. No answer. Did you hear Dr. Chambers state she was an attorney? Yes. Did you hear her explain the Fourth Amendment? Yes. Did you hear her state she was a U.S. citizen living alone? Yes. And you broke down her door anyway. Pierce shifted in his chair. I was following procedure. Whose procedure? Show me the procedure that allows warrantless entry based on an anonymous tip. Pierce couldn't, because no such procedure existed. Marcus had clips from the deposition that would destroy Pierce in front of a jury. The county's attorneys watched the deposition video. They watched the doorbell footage again. They read Professor Hayes' expert report. They calculated their exposure. They came back with a new offer, $400,000. Marcus didn't even present it to Monica. The case was going to trial. This wasn't about money anymore. This was about accountability. This was about a pattern of behavior that had gone unchecked for 6 years, 11 complaints, 0 consequences. This was about making sure it never happened again. The federal courtroom in Atlanta was packed. Attorneys, civil rights advocates, community members who saw Monica's case as their own fight. Monica took the stand on day 3 of trial. Marcus walked her through that Saturday morning. Dr. Chambers, what were you doing when Sergeant Pierce arrived at your door? Preparing a Fourth Amendment case, defending a client against illegal search. And then what happened to you? I became a victim of exactly what I was fighting against. Her voice was steady, but the jury saw her hands tremble slightly when she described hearing the ram hit her door. The courtroom went completely silent when Marcus played the doorbell footage. The jury watched Pierce pound on the door. They heard Monica cite the Fourth Amendment. They heard her explain why entry would be illegal. They watched Pierce order the breach anyway. You could hear people breathing in the gallery. Nothing else. Just the video evidence of a constitutional violation in real time. Professor Jonathan Hayes testified the next day. In 26 years teaching constitutional law, I've never seen a clearer Fourth Amendment violation. The county's attorney tried to argue Pierce had acted in good faith. Professor Hayes, isn't it possible Sergeant Pierce simply misunderstood the law? No, Dr. Chambers explained it to him before he breached the door. She cited case law. She defined the requirements. He understood. He violated her rights anyway. Marcus's closing argument, it was brief. They broke Dr. Chambers' door. Yes, they fixed it, but they can't fix the violation of her constitutional rights. They can't fix the terror she felt watching armed officers storm into her home. They can't fix the knowledge that the government she swore to respect violated her in the most fundamental way. You can't repair that with a new door or a check for $400,000. The jury deliberated for 8 hours. When they returned, the 4 women stood. In the matter of Chambers versus Pierce, we find for the plaintiff. The courtroom held its breath. Compensatory damages, $4.2 million. Monica's mother grabbed her hand. Punitive damages, $6.3 million. Total $10.5 million. The gallery erupted in applause. The judge let it continue for 10 seconds before raising his hand. Monica broke down crying. Marcus put his arm around her shoulders. This was more than money. This was vindication. This was a federal jury telling the government that the Fourth Amendment matters, that constitutional rights are real, and that violating them carries consequences. The fallout was immediate. Sergeant Nathan Pierce was fired that afternoon. 14 years of service ended in one meeting with the sheriff. Deputies Martinez and Lee received 6-month suspensions without pay. Federal prosecutors filed charges against Pierce, deprivation of rights under color of law. He would eventually plead guilty to a lesser charge and receive 2 years probation. The county implemented sweeping policy changes within 30 days. All residential entries now require a warrant or supervisor approval with documented exigent circumstances. Mandatory Fourth Amendment training for every officer. Creation of a constitutional compliance division to review questionable searches before they happen. 3 other victims of Pierce's aggressive tactics came forward after the verdict. Their cases settled quietly. The county's total payout exceeded $14 million. Monica used $2 million from her settlement to establish the Constitutional Rights Defense Fund, providing free legal representation to people whose Fourth Amendment rights have been violated by law enforcement. She became a national voice on constitutional rights, speaking at law schools and police training academies. The doorbell footage is now used as a training tool in law schools across the country, a perfect example of how to assert your rights and why those rights matter. In Atlanta, Monica Chambers' case became a landmark. Her daughter, now 10 years old, understands that her mother fought back when the government did something wrong. She's learning that the Constitution isn't just words on paper. Nathan Pierce works private security now. He's barred from law enforcement for life. He still believes he was just doing his job that Saturday morning. He'll never understand what he actually did. The county of Fulton paid $10.5 million in taxpayer money because one sergeant couldn't be bothered to get a warrant. That doorbell footage changed how law enforcement approaches residential entries in 3 states. If you believe the Fourth Amendment should protect all Americans from government overreach, that knowing your rights can be the difference between justice and injustice, hit that subscribe button. Tomorrow we have another story about an officer who thought his badge put him above the Constitution. He learned the same lesson Pierce did, it doesn't. Because the truth captured on cameras and defended in court has the power to hold even the government accountable.